Welcome back to DHN. I'm Wade Teamer. So you clicked on this video because you were curious about how blockchain technology could be affecting the sports world. Well, let me give you some confirmation. Yes, it is very much so. And Chiliz is one of those assets. I've been covering Chiliz for almost 2 years now, mainly because I understand the product. It's real simple. I'm a sports fan. I don't know if any listeners are sports fans, but you've probably engaged in communities centered around your team. You've probably participated in fan reward programs centered around the team. Your experience may have been good, may have been bad. The thing is, though, what Chiliz is focusing on is providing the blockchain architecture for more sports organizations, more sports teams to develop and build out these fan reward programs. It's a very interesting concept, and it may sound far-fetched, but you'd be surprised as to how many big sports organizations are ready for this transformation. However, there is a hurdle that must be overcome, and that's part of the reason why I'm discussing this asset. On top of that, they just made a major headline, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we've heard of this company before, SBI. Their arm, SBI Digital Asset Holdings, is planning to do a joint venture with the Chiliz chain, guys. So we're going to dive into this story, and we're also going to look at the landscape for Chiliz. So that way, if you're new, you're going to get an idea of what this token does, what the chain does. And then at the end, we're going to talk about the regulatory situation, because I discovered something, and this is coming straight from the source, straight from Chiliz themselves. So if you're interested in that and what the outcome could be, because even though it's a massive hurdle, there's still a silver lining. I would highly advise you to watch this video to the end. So let's jump into this. Now, SBI DAH and Chiliz plan to forge joint venture partnership to bring leading sporting fan tokens to Japanese enthusiasts. So they say the partnership will revolutionize sports enthusiasts' experience in Japan, as fans will now gain access to tokens from top football clubs, including Arsenal, AC Milan, Manchester City, FC Barcelona, Inter Milan, and Paris Saint-Germain. So if you're watching in the US, you may not have heard of those teams, but my foreign viewers, you guys are familiar with them. I did read not too long ago that Arsenal had some issues from the UK government, if I'm not mistaken, about their fan token. They were just concerned, but we'll touch more about that in a second. They say with the establishment of the new joint venture, Chiliz will integrate the entity into its global operations and network to allow Japanese fans to start participating in global fan communities. With the support of the SBI Group, which has a network of over 50 million clients across all of its services. So, much like SBI Group brought in Ripple, brought in the XDC network and others, Chiliz is now wrapped up in that package, folks. And that's interesting because it's not just SBI when it comes to the realm of big players that Chiliz has. Not too long ago, they added Animoca Brands to their SportsFi ecosystem, which we'll touch on in just a minute. But Animoca Brands is a huge name when it comes to Web3 development overall. They really made themselves known getting into the gaming side, but they've expanded, as you can see, into SportsFi and several other Web3 based applications. So very interested to see how that is going to unfold. But let's finish the story out here. They say in addition to the joint venture, SBI is also expected to join as a node operator of the Chiliz chain to play an important role in governance of the Chiliz Web3 ecosystem. SBI and Chiliz will work together to make the Chiliz chain the leading blockchain solution for developers and companies in Japan looking to build Web3 products and experiences for sports and entertainment brands. So just out of natural curiosity, yes, I did look into the Japanese sports culture, the market, and I can tell you it's a lot similar to what we see, what we experience here in the United States. The biggest difference would be their biggest sport is baseball, where ours is the NFL, just according to the numbers. And then this document here details the Japan Sports Agency, which is a government funded situation where they look to incorporate sports culture into everyday society. It's deep, but I bring that up, a nuanced detail, because it's the line of thinking that allowed for this relationship to form in the first place. So I find that to be very interesting. Now, When it comes to Chiliz themselves, guys, they've been around for quite some time. You can see here, Chiliz founded in 2018 as a blockchain provider focused on sports and entertainment. Their native token, CHZ. I have a video explaining Chiliz from a technical aspect, the blockchain, how the Chiliz token works, tokenomics, all of that good stuff. I'll leave a link to that video under this one. And then here we have socios.com. Now, Socios, every time I mention Chiliz, I will bring this up because this is their flagship product. When it comes to fan engagement, simply what we mean when we say fan engagement are the experiences associated with the team that you may root for. All right. So let's say you go to a game, they're having a special, as a matter of fact, perfect example. You ever gone to a basketball game and they have a certain contest? Like recently I was watching the New York Knicks play, and there was a thing going on where they said if a player missed 2 straight free throws in a row, everybody in the building got free chicken. That's fan engagement, ladies and gentlemen, in its simplest form. So what we're seeing now with platforms like Socios and other members of the Chiliz ecosystem is there is a demand for these. There is a demand for these type of platforms. There is a demand for fan engagement, increased fan engagement, because the current landscape of it is it's not very solid. Another reason why I like Socios is because they simplify the process. Use the platform to get fan tokens, engage, and then get your rewards. And like they say, repeat. Now, the only problem, and I started the video with this, the only issue is that this currently does not have any US presence, but I have the reason why. Trust and believe. Now, they also brought up the Chiliz chain, which you can see here. They built Chiliz chain to connect like-minded stakeholders around sports and entertainment on the same protocol. They differentiate themselves via industry-minded ecosystem support and a focus on maintaining brand IP, project use case integrity, and curated developer access. And again, the video that I did broke down all of this: governance, proof of staked authority, what that means, and how it actually helps Chiliz. But a simple breakdown of that. And I also love this too because they simplify the onboarding process to your chain. You can either build directly on Chiliz chain to mint and write smart contracts for original NFT or fungible assets relevant to your brand, or you can collaborate with Socios and through Socios develop platforms and situations and programs on the Socios platform, which is what a lot of the teams are doing now, which would explain why Socios is so big. Again, though, that's not focused here on the US. I'm trying to make a point going forward to keep our attention on strictly developments happening here, because I feel like we're at a point in history where we are closest to it. Now, when they launched this Chiliz chain, and I want to show you this, they were formerly on Ethereum, but they made the move in order to be a lot more scalable, faster, a lot of the reasons why projects leave Ethereum. And you can look at their blockchain explorer, which you can see starting in June of 2023, which this data here, it's flat back here because this is the ERC20 era, right? This is when they instituted the Chiliz chain. And this spike in addresses are the transfers of accounts from the ERC20 and the BEP20, or the Binance version of the token. Those accounts were migrated over to Chiliz. That's what that spike explains. So we are currently sitting at almost 2 million unique addresses for Chiliz. And when you look at transactions, which is the lifeblood of a chain, no matter what chain it is, it's substantial. It goes up and down, but we're at, if you average these out, that's about 60,000 transactions per day. And we haven't even cracked the US market. So that's another reason why I keep my eye on this asset, guys. And this is details about the fan token migration. You can see here, it went from June to September of last year, corresponding with the pump on the market. And everything should be complete, it says, by the end of Q1 of 2024. So we're full Chiliz now. All of the tokens and everything has migrated. But the point I was going to make a moment ago about why I've been following this asset, and I make updates, when I can on it is because I understand that their product offering is going to take some time to hit the market. Because when people see the word token, they immediately think crypto or I'm gonna have to spend some money. But the direction of Chiliz recently has really tried to emphasize the fact that this is not an exchange of fiat here. There's no profit being made. It's simply fan engagement. If you want an extra way to interact with your favorite team, this is how you can do it. This token is just a cool additive. And they're pushing this forward with the help of their Chiliz Lab, which is their Chiliz Labs, which is their development arm, simply an organization that helps promote the Chiliz chain to help recruit developers, partners, things like that. You can check out all of their backgrounds on LinkedIn. Here are some of the players that are building in the SportsFi ecosystem, which this thing is big. They launched this last year as well, right after Animoca Brands got involved, or shortly before Animoca Brands got involved, which is why we don't see them on this graphic. But you can take a look at what's all going on. And again, the chain is less than 5 years old. And from chains that have been around for less than 5 years, this is a lot to have. And another point here, Chiliz is in a market of its own. It's another reason why I'm following them. But let's go back over here to this page because I want to share with you two particular use cases. When it comes to potential project ideas, which you can build on a chain, they have ticketing solutions and authorized secondary markets for ticketing. Now, ticketing solutions, secondary markets, that's your StubHub, that's your Ticketmaster, Vivid Seats, SeatGeek, things like that. When reading into that secondary market, the environment, what's going on out there, people are having a lot of problems with these secondary market platforms being reliable, making sure the transactions are actually going through. I think that's going to be a big value driver for Chiliz once secondary markets start to pop up. Now, something that dawned on me, we don't just have the NFL over here. There's the UFL, which is owned by a gentleman who is, he's never verbalized it, but I'm telling you, he sees the digital transformation occurring because the company that he previously worked for just got done unveiling a round of NFTs centered around their pay-per-views or premium live events now. But that's not the point. The point is, I can see mad potential coming from this secondary markets use case. And another use case I can see with a lot of potential, because this is, again, a situation that I've experienced myself. Proof of attendance, protocol tools. This is a NFT that proves a person has attended an event. These tokens can enhance fan engagement at sports events or even verify attendance at conferences or webinars. So this one wouldn't just apply to sports. I can see startups using this, especially when they want to do the company retreats, businesses, established companies, things like that. Enterprise adoption for this for sure. But there's another element to it. I was invited to the NFL draft this year. Now, I'm pretty sure I wasn't the only one, because if you've had access to the NFL One Pass, you were able to receive your ticket as well as a QR code that gave you admittance to certain areas of the NFL draft, which was held in Detroit this year, right? I wanted to go. I wasn't able to make it. It's fine. Definitely watched it on TV. But I found the whole process in which they did it to be very interesting, because I got the email about 3 weeks before the draft. So this was an indicator to me that the NFL is leaning into digital fan engagement. So when this headline came up, you know what I had to do, guys. I had to go and fish around, see what had been going on, because my point is to bring things as local as I possibly can, like I said, going forward, because the adoption is going to happen. And when it happens in the US, it's going to happen quick. So let's go back to 2021. Chiliz puts down $50 million for US expansion. Now, this article was written in Sports Business Journal, where they detail that Chiliz has launched crypto fan tokens for some of Europe's biggest soccer clubs. They are now investing $50 million towards expanding into the US market. The company will open an office in New York and pursue developing fan tokens for teams across the NBA, NFL, MLB, Hockey League, National Hockey League. No, I don't watch hockey. and the MLS. They've already formed partnerships with the UFC and Professional Fighters League, but the company has made most of its inroads in Europe. So this article was sourced from a Reuters article that provides a bit more information coming from the CEO of the company himself. He says that they're now opening an office in the US as they target the country's top sports franchises. He says a huge focal point for us is our global growth plans in the US. That's why they're opening a New York office, putting down the 50 million, so forth and so on. So the problem here is wait, before I get to the problem, let's talk about how this unfolded. All right, this was 2021, this was March. By the end of that year, we got the announcement, 13 NFL partnerships. All right, you can see the teams. I'm not going to name them all. But this, sent shockwaves. I reported on it. As a matter of fact, though, mainstream did not get to it, though, until almost 4 months after it was announced. Now, this is something I'm discovering as I'm going back into this information, right? Other publications like Sports Pro Media picked up on the story around the same time. Rams were one of those 13 teams, right? When I went back to read this article, they revealed some information about the NFL that really blew my mind. Back in March, as these relationships were being formed and talked about, the NFL held a meeting with the owners and they signed into their policies permissions for NFL franchises to work with blockchain companies. Now, if you've ever watched a Dallas Cowboys game, you've seen the blockchain.com banner in the arena. I knew there was a reason that was there. So after the announcement of the 13 NFL teams, we get news that NFL is becoming more lenient when it comes to their blockchain strategy. I went back and revisited this token situation. Now, this is the same posting from Chiliz fan token board. And you can go down here and you read the details. No fan token or no fan token offering planned at the moment. This was, all of these are at that status. Okay, cool. That makes sense. Fast forward though, you go over to socios.com and you go over to American football. There's only one team there, Washington Commanders. Now, it's very interesting because in this article here, they also detail that a part of the agreement, the new policy, is that blockchain relationships can't span more than 3 years, which brought up my very first question. So, is that 3 years from November of 2021, or did this go into effect sometime in 2022? If so, we need to know that because that gives us one more season for something to potentially happen. And we know that because of the information in this article that the NFL is a lot more lenient, so that opens the door. Now, here's the thing though. Here is where I really hit a wall and I had to go and do a little bit of fishing. So with this situation, and it only being one team from the American football under Socios at least, I needed to ask a question. I needed to figure out what was going on because I also read this article here. It was a blog post from Loyola University of Chicago, right? Talking about fan tokens. And they gave details about the situation in Europe, in the United States, when it comes to fan tokens. Let's read this. Unlike in Europe, Socios US deals have yet to include the release of any actual tokens. This is coming post that announcement. The deals are limited to fan engagement and marketing activation, so they can create the engagement experiences as long as there's no tokens involved. And marketing activation means that the club or team involved has the option to market Chiliz. The team cites regulatory concerns for their limited deals. We're going to confirm that in just a second. But I want to finish this. US-based sports entities intending to engage with fan tokens need to ensure they understand US securities laws before utilizing the full potential. Current regulations are not adequately designed to accommodate digital assets. Fan tokens do not fit precisely into a category of assets under the purview of the SEC. Since the distinguishing feature of the token is they are fully interchangeable, tokens can be easily exchanged for availing products or services of the enterprises backing them. So that's the core, is to provide a token that can be used within the ecosystem, within the sport specific teams community. On the other hand, though, under SEC regulations, if tokens are designed to provide an expectation of profit to the buyer based upon the marketing efforts of the seller, or in this case, the team, then that would be considered a security. So it's a very, very thin line that they need to walk when it comes to these fan tokens, which is why they're leading into platforms. And I found this to be interesting here. In February, a company called PlayCaller joined Chiliz. Now, this is a sports betting, sports fantasy type situation. However, the guy that runs this is American. As a matter of fact, his name is Nick Palazzo. Now, I'm not finna do any doxing here, but he's an American guy, went to Harvard. So that's a potential. That's a glimpse, right? That's a glimpse of what can occur, because my biggest thing here about Chiliz is that yes, they have the European market on lock. They got UK, they got Japan now, but I'm telling you, there is no market in the world like the US sports market. And once they tap into that, once they're giving the go ahead to tap into that, sky's the limit. I've seen Chiliz get as high as 28 cents. Been around this industry for about 6 years, seen it get as high as 28 cents. Now, I'm going to lead you with this part here because, like I said, I had to go to the source, ladies and gentlemen. I had to go to the source, okay? So, hopped into Chiliz, and I asked, has there been any updates on Chiliz in the U.S. market? The only thing I can find is about the Washington Commanders. Now, at first, I was told to read some messages up above, which did lead to some very interesting information, which is how I found out about the application. But then I got a response back from Alex Dreyfus, CEO. He says nothing to do in the U.S. with the current regulation framework. But that is coming from the people themselves, ladies and gentlemen. And it all boils down to the regulatory situation. But I think the barrier for a fan token is a lot lower than the barrier for a new currency, if you get what I'm saying. And then on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you've seen this yet. If you've made it this far in the video, consider yourself lucky, but this is spreading around. He just came out and said that if you're for crypto, then you should vote for Trump. This thing is spreading. This clip is spreading. He was doing an NFT event at his Mar-a-Lago compound. Someone asked him, what would you do to stop crypto companies from leaving the US? He said he would just stop it. Period. Because he wants them here. He wants to make sure that crypto companies, cryptos that come in different forms, as he said, he wants to make sure that they're good and they can operate here, essentially. I'm paraphrasing, but if you go to my X account, you can see the clip. You can take a listen for yourselves. I was really blown away. I thought it was AI at first, but the scenario being painted here is if this man becomes president, it's going to usher in a wave of innovation. US-based crypto companies, foreign crypto companies, I can see them all rushing over to the US, provided things go in that order. Can never guarantee. But I just think, one, Chiliz is definitely going to be a benefactor. And two, it's better to be prepared for it, have it and be prepared, than to not have it at all and completely miss out. So with that, if you're looking to get some Chiliz, you already know where I'm getting it. I'm using Uphold right now. Link to that will be in the description. They're one of our channel partners. So I thank you in advance if you use the link down below, because I'll be compensated. Same thing goes for our other channel partner, where I take my crypto from Uphold and I put it onto my hardware wallet device. That is the SafePal S1. Link to that will be down in the description. Again, I want to thank you in advance. With that, it's time for the best part. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.